Welcome to another English class. Today we'll be looking at the topic synonyms. In one of my lessons, we looked at antonyms, and I made reference to the origin of antonyms, stating that it came from word formation. I remember outlining some of the topics under word formation, and the synonyms are one of them. All right, so today we'll be basically looking at synonyms holistically, identifying the types of synonyms, what synonyms are, and looking at them in sentences. All right, so let's get started. Learning objectives. So by the end of the lesson, students should be able to define synonyms, mention the types or how synonyms are formed, then give examples. All right, so I'm not expecting you to know all of these at the end, but as time progresses, while I am going on with the teaching, you should be able as a student, as a reader, as a listener, to define synonyms, mention the types, and give examples. Now, meaning of synonyms. All right, unlike antonyms, synonyms are words that are similar in meaning. In our previous class, when we talked about antonyms, we said that antonyms are words opposite in meaning. Now, synonyms on its own are words that have the same or that are similar in meaning. If something is ugly, it's not good looking. That's just what we're saying. When you say that something is bad, it's spoiled, these are words that are synonymous to another. All right, so they come in every part of speech, including nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs, and prepositions. Remember when we were looking at antonyms, we stated a particular thing, that when you're changing the antonym of a word, do well to see that the word class, it's the same. You cannot change a word that its word class is noun to adjective. It is not done. So likewise in synonyms, when you're changing the synonym of a word, the word class has to be the same thing. And we say that these word class are the parts of speech we have in English. So we can get synonyms in nouns, we can get synonyms in verbs, we can get synonyms in adjectives, we can get synonyms in adverbs, and we can get synonyms in prepositions. All right, so in case someone wants to know, we can as well do a peripheral definition of these word classes. Nouns are words that name things, they name places, they name animals, they name things, they name persons, they name ideas and events. Now, it's basically right to know that we have types of nouns. You have your common nouns, you have your proper nouns, you have abstract nouns, you have countable and uncountable like the primary school. But one thing we must know is that the countable nouns are basically under common nouns, which are concrete nouns. Now, what are verbs? Verbs are action words or state of being words. Gone are the days when definition of verb was said to be action words. If you leave your definition of a verb as an action word, then you will be making a mistake, because our helping verbs are not action verbs. They are rather state of being verbs. All right, so what are these state of being verbs? You have your is, you have your was, you have your are, you have your were. That's not what we have for today. Then we have adjectives. Adjectives are words that describe nouns. Adjectives describe nouns. The boy is beautiful. The boy is beautiful. Yes, a boy can actually be beautiful. When a guy is attractive, then he's beautiful. So don't think I made a mistake there. All right, so beautiful is an adjective. Adverbs are words that modify. Now, basically we have two word modifiers in English. You have adverbs and adjectives. Now, adverbs modify, they add extra meaning. Adjectives as well modify as much as they describe nouns. All right, so adverbs are words that modify verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. Now, basically, you form your adverbs by adding ly suffix to an adjective. Then prepositions are words that show position. All right, in, on, under, beneath, above. These are prepositions. I think we've taken much of our time on that. So synonyms basically are words that are similar in meaning. As a synonym, example. Let's look at synonyms for good. Let's look at those words that can also mean good. That's exactly what we are saying. What are those words that I don't want to say good, I want to use other words, varying degrees of them. He said, as one of the most commonly used words, that's good, has a lot of synonyms that mean the same or almost the same thing. It is important for us to know that these words that mean good, when used contextually, will be different. All right, that's one thing we must know. It's not just to teach, but for you to understand that synonyms are used outside context and in context. So when it's in context, it's different from when you're given a word for a particular one. So we have fine, you have excellent, you have satisfactory, you have wonderful, you have superb. So these are varying words for the synonym of a word good. Now notice how the meanings are not always identical. For example, excellent is a high degree of good, while satisfactory is more like a minimal amount of good. How was the performance? If you say excellent and another comes and says, how was the performance? You say satisfactory. They are two different things, but they can be used synonymously for the word good. But in context, we all understand that the degrees are different. So still, the central idea is the same. All these synonyms refer to something that is positive and not bad. I guess that is understood, that when these words are used, they mean positive words. They are all positive words, but the degrees at which they appear are different. All right, so let's continue. Here is a picture. When you say that something is intelligent, that means it's bright. The boy is intelligent, he's bright. Okay, you can also use the word brilliant for intelligent or bright, but in context it may not be the same, but the degrees are different. Now when something is plentiful, is in abundance. When something is plentiful, you say it's what? In abundance or abundant. So that is it. Now types of synonyms. Basically we have three types of synonyms. As mentioned above, some synonyms have the exact same meaning, while others have meanings that are nearly exact. With that in mind, there are three types of synonyms based on how similar the words' meanings are. Based on how similar the words' meanings are. So we are looking at absolute synonyms, we are looking at partial synonyms, and we are looking at near synonyms. When we talk about the word absolute, we mean total. Absolute means complete synonyms. So absolute synonyms are words that mean exactly the same thing. That's just it. It means exactly the same thing. There is no difference in meaning. You can use absolute synonyms interchangeably. One synonym can replace another without changing the meaning. All right? It can replace without changing the meaning. Whether in context, out of context, once you say this and you're looking for synonym, that's what it means. So these are some examples. We have noon as midday, nobody, no one, somebody, someone, spatter, splatter, hiccough, and hiccup. Right? So these 5 words and their synonyms mean exactly the same thing. They are what we call absolute synonyms. Whether you use it in context or out of context, it means the same thing. That's why we say they can be used interchangeably. We have the word belligerent. Belligerent means aggressive. Identical means indistinguishable. That's identical. They cannot be distinguished. Indistinguishable. Then drink means beverage. Insects, bug. Distraught, worried. Absolute, complete. So these are the words that are referred to as absolute synonyms. Remember we said absolute synonyms are used interchangeably. It means exactly the same thing. It doesn't have a partial meaning. Whatever belligerent is in context, when used outside context, it still means aggressive. If belligerent means aggressive, in context, out of context, it also stands the same. So we're looking at partial synonyms. The next type of synonym is the partial synonym. Now let's look closely at that. You say partial synonyms are words that mean almost the same thing. And the differences are only slight. You could hardly notice this difference. So what separates them can be a degree or amount, just like what we saw in the example when we started the introductory part, where we looked at the word good and we saw the varying synonyms of good. We said they both mean the same thing, all right, but the only difference is that the degree at which it is used is different. All right, so if I say something is good, I can say something is excellent, I can say it is satisfactory. But the only difference there is the fact that the degrees are there, but they still mean the same thing. All what I'm saying is that the boy performed well, but this one did better than the other. That's what when we talk about degrees in synonyms. So what separates them can be a degree or amount, such as the difference between good and excellent, exactly. Or one word can be a specific type of a more general word, the way a puppy is still a dog. So if you replace a word with its partial synonym, the meaning changes a little, but the main message remains the same, and that's it. So all I'm saying is that the girl is good. That's just it. Oh, she's excellent. The meaning remains the same. She did a wonderful work. Her work is good. It's just that the degrees are different, but I'm passing the same information. Nothing has gone wrong in what she did. She did a good job. So the meaning is not hampered. The meaning is not tampered with. The meaning remains the same, but the degree, that's for partial what? Synonym. The degrees are not the same, but they are different. All right, so that's it. So if you replace a word with its partial synonym, the meaning remains the same. Nothing will change. It's still the same thing. All right, so that's where we are. Examples, you have car. Car means vehicle. All right, that's vehicle. Run means to sprint. Big means gigantic. Enormous can also be a word synonym to big, but remember we said that the degrees are different. The meanings are the same, even if you have a slight difference in the word. Now, beautiful means pretty, good, excellent, comrade, colleague. Despicable means offensive, horrific means sickening. Then we have near synonyms, and that's the last. Near synonyms. Near synonyms are words that have different meanings, but their meanings are still related. These words cannot be used interchangeably. It's not like absolute synonym where you use the words interchangeably. It's not. So if you replace a word with a near synonym, the message becomes different. However, because they are related, a near synonym could be a better and more accurate choice, more accurate word choice than the word original. So most times you could actually use near synonyms in your comprehension passage. In one of our lessons, we'll be looking at comprehension passage, how to answer comprehension questions, and some of the underlined words that we are asked to get another word that can replace it. So in that case, near synonyms can work. All right, so near synonyms are formed in several ways. One is developed as a result of word borrowed into English vocabulary. That's how near synonyms are formed. There are certain words in English that are borrowed. As a matter of fact, some English words are borrowed either from French, either from Latin, either from Greek. So edifice is a Latin word, and in English it's called building or a house. So when someone says an edifice is a very good, huge building. All right, but here we refer to once edifice is mentioned, what comes to mind is building. So where you have the word edifice and you're asked to give a word nearest in meaning to edifice, obviously a building or a house can go. Then we have microcosm. Microcosm means the universe or the world. And we said it's a French word or a Greek word. So podium is a Latin word via Greek, meaning pulpit or lectern. You hear people say, let's welcome the pastor to the podium or the pulpit. So it's a Greek or Latin word meaning pulpit or lectern. Some people call it lectern, while some people call it pulpit. But the original word is podium, which is borrowed from Latin via the Greek. All right, so words that are similar but meant for different situations and occasions. All right, so we must take note of this very one. It says words that are similar but meant for different situations and occasions. Now, you know this, that certain words are used in a formal way, while words are used in an informal way. Now, when you're doing a formal writing, it's appropriate you use formal words for formal writings. Then when you're doing an informal writing, you can go ahead to use your informal words. Just like writing an informal letter, you are at liberty to use informal words. You can contract words, you can use generally accepted slangs, you can use pet names, but in a formal writing, that is not allowed. So that's what we mean by synonyms formed in using formal situations or formal occasions. So we have near synonyms. These are examples of near synonyms. Abandon. To abandon means to leave, desert, or forsake. You see, we have 3 synonyms for the word abandon, but contextually, they may not be the same thing. It may demand the degree at which something is used in a sentence before you can make the right choice of synonym to use. Accommodate means to oblige, to aid, to help, or to assist. You will agree with me that there is a state, or rather a context, I will use help. I can't use accommodate for it, but I can use assist and I can use aid. There is a way I will use aid. I can't use accommodate for it, but I can use oblige. I can also use assist. So the other words are babble. These are so many synonyms to babble. If you don't want to say that someone is babbling, you can say he or she is jabbering, brating, cackling, chattering, muttering, or mumbling. Then benevolent means gracious, gentle, kind, generous. So contextually, they may not suit for benevolent, but when you use them outside of context, it depends on the context. There's a context you will use benevolent, it will mean generous. There's a context you will use benevolent, it will mean kind. All right, so it's just like the proverbial, the common proverb that says that those whose sperm canal have been cracked for them by benevolent spirits. So that will be what? Kind people. The man is benevolent to the poor. It could be kind, it can be generous, it can be gentle. So it depends on the context. Capsized means overturned. Notice one thing, capsized, that's the verb word. All the synonyms are in their verb forms. So that brings us to what I said initially, that once a word is in a noun form, depending on the word class, whichever word class you have a word, do well to see that the synonym is in that same word class. Cheered means acclaimed or hailed. Daft, foolish, that's an adjective. You see that the words used as synonyms as adjectives. Decorated is a verb, so the words that we are going for as synonyms are also verbs. Verbs in their past tense, not just verb, but past form of a verb. We have earnings, we have income, we have wages, we have salary, we have pay, we have remuneration. Then eluded, you see, is verb. All the options we have as synonyms are all in the verb past form. Factual, that's true, real, fact-based, right? So we have magnificent, you have resplendent, you have impressive. Native, you have aboriginal, indigenous, original, local. You have obliterate, that's a verb but in a present form. You have the synonym still in the present form. You have the word distraught, that's an adjective. You see, you have adjectives. You have pacified, which is a verb form, the past verb form, while the simple present form is pacify. Then the past is what? Pacified. And we have all synonyms in what? The past verb form. So tag says replace each underlined word with a synonym from the list below. Replace each underlined word with a synonym below. We'll attempt one, then I will leave you to do others. List of words have been given, so we're expected to replace. So he says his uncle brought a birthday gift wrapped in red paper. So what can we replace with gifts? His uncle brought a birthday present wrapped in red paper. So I would encourage us to do the other task and see how far we have learned. Then finally, we have our assignment. This one has to do with matching the synonyms. Anyone can try it. A teacher can try it, a student can try it. So you have to match the synonyms. We have about 20 of them, so you have to match them. And when you're done matching, learn the words and try to use them in sentences. All right, so it's time to go to our ExamGuide app. Remember, this time we looked at synonyms, so we have to check for synonyms. Okay, that's nearest in meaning. So that is it. So you have it in your ExamGuide app. I would encourage you to try out the questions and see how far you have learned. So much effluent has been poured into the stream that its water has become unsafe for drinking. So what is effluent? It said so much effluent has been poured into the stream that the water has become unsafe for drinking. So that means effluent will go for what? Sewage. So all plays the guitar with great dexterity. What's the word dexterity? It can be wisdom. When you talk about playing something, that means skill is added to it. So that's the answer, skill. Thank you for participating in today's class. You can practice more questions using the ExamGuide app. The app scores and gives a detailed explanation of all the questions at the end of your practice test. You can learn a particular topic of interest with different modes like study mode, mock mode, and practice mode. It also has other features that make learning fun. It is a must-have for all serious students. Download from www.examguide.com if you don't have it yet. See you in the next class. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and share the videos to people that will benefit from it. Bye.